10:09. I am early for once. Normally it's like 10:20 and I'm getting to my second interview of the day and everyone's going, "What are you doing, son? Let's go here. Don't you have a job to do?" Dennis Wilsmeyer, the Executive Director of America's Central Port, in studio. Warming up out there?
Yes, it is.
I was telling people, Dennis, I'm like, it's going to feel like a heat wave the next couple of weeks.
Absolutely. We'll take it in the 50s, no doubt about it.
How did America's Central Port hold up with the Arctic front that came through?
We did okay till yesterday morning with that ice.
I bet.
That was a killer. So we had trucks sliding sideways. We just had a real problem yesterday, but thankfully got through it. So
well, and I mean, you have multiple industries on your site in terms of rail and different components. You have any rail yards that you have to get cargo trucks on or anything like that?
So we have a fair amount of rail track on property, about 29 miles of rail on the port's property. Yes.
Well, and Dennis, just talking with you about this, I want to thank Bi-State Development who put us in contact. Yes. They're a great partner for me, and Mary's been on this show a time or two. But to really talk about the importance of America's Central Port, because it's one of those you drive by so many times you forget about all the work that's being done behind the gate. And it started in 1959, the creation of it.
Yes.
And throughout the years, how has America's Central Port adapted to the growing changes of industry, not just one, but multiple industries, to stay relevant and stay a provider for so many in the region?
Yeah, so in 1959 really is when the legislation got put in place by this Illinois state legislature. That's what created the port. That's what got it in place, but there was no money, there was no funding, there was nothing really to come with that except for a real small appropriation from the state of Illinois to say, okay, try to get going here. And it's a problem today for all the ports. So there's 20 public ports in the state of Illinois today, and each one of them has that same problem starting up because there's just no money to follow and to get those things going. So they struggle for a long time. No, so legislators love ports. They're economic generators. They create jobs. They do all these great things for a community, but it takes a long time to get them there. So really, we've been around for 60 plus years and trying to get there. We feel like we're just getting there now, kind of breaking above the plane of the water, the surface of the water, and starting to really get some traction. Well,
and in your time being there, we talked before you came on the show for about 20 years. You've gotten to see, I'm sure, the rise of technology and the additions of now AI being utilized in some of the industry and the way that they manufacture. How has it been kind of being in that front seat of watching everything kind of evolve around you and then adapting America's Central Port and their strategic plan, I'm sure, to meet those needs too?
Yes, and I'm the old one. So
that's what I was going to ask you in the nice way.
Now, yes, the staff definitely gives me a hard time about being the dinosaur in the office and that sort of thing. But they're really the ones leading it. They're really the ones pushing that technology within the office. But the whole industry itself is changing so dramatically. There are now our operator, SCF Marine, looking at the opportunities and possibilities of remote operation of cranes and front end loaders and that sort of thing. Can you imagine sitting in your office and operating several pieces of equipment from miles away? And that's the type of technology now that's coming down the road with all of this.
Well, and that's what I think's really fascinating, because in the ever-growing world of technology, and what I think's great is people just started talking about AI last year, and now there's 40,000 variations, and you name it. It's just going to keep growing. But to have this port right where it is in really the heart of the RiverBend region, right next to St. Louis, touching the river, I mean, it's a huge asset that's only going to keep getting bigger, I'd assume.
Yes. So absolutely. We're just a few miles north of downtown St. Louis, on the Illinois side of the river. It's a perfectly located, we believe.
Yes, it is.
The river comes down. We are right at Lock and Dam 27, so it is the last lock on the Mississippi River. So really, from a river standpoint, we're at a perfect location. From a road standpoint, we're at a perfect location with immediate access really to Interstate 70, just about a mile south of us, and then 55 and 64 and 44 and all those with just really within about 8 or 9 minutes from where we're located. And then certainly the rail infrastructure.
Right.
People don't realize and recognize, but St. Louis and southwestern Illinois are perfectly positioned from rail. We have all 6 Class 1 carriers that are in the country that service our region. And it's a great opportunity through Terminal Railroad Association to get connected to them and to be able to provide service all over the country through rail.
Well, it's just incredible. And I was talking to Mary with Bi-State Development about the Freightway, and just hearing how it kind of plays a little bit hand in hand with what you guys do at the port too, because you're a working partner, I would assume, kind of going back to what we talked about. But to hear the importance of really just that 30-mile stretch, and really just the 30-mile circumference of where you guys are at in terms of where the industry is in St. Louis, it's a massive turnaround for not just the area, but for the Midwest as a whole.
Yeah, the Freightway is a great opportunity by State Development Agency. So what they've done is taken really, we've taken freight for really taken not even advantage, taken it for granted over the years. And to see what they've done at the Freightway, to be able to really to underscore the importance of freight, the importance of infrastructure, the importance of all those, and to bring the federal dollars in. That's the other piece that people don't realize, CJ, is that there are so many grants now coming to the St. Louis region for funding of the freight corridor that weren't before. Because we've gotten together, both Illinois and Missouri, we're working together and really trying to push this up, and it's really made a big difference.
Well, and we've talked, Ray Hartman and I talk about this all the time. It's so bizarre what that river does in terms of, separation, where you think sometimes that river is such a great barrier that you don't realize we're 8 minutes away from all these things, and we can work together. And in terms of just America's Central Port, Dennis, you can't ask for a lifetime of what you guys have done, because those numbers would just be astronomical, and we'd be here for 2 hours talking about those. But in terms of the last couple of years, and in terms yearly, regarding employment and just economic impact, could you guesstimate or talk a little bit about the impact that America's Central Port makes overall?
Absolutely. So a lot of people are familiar with the Granite City Army Depot property. That closed in 2000. And really it started transferring, all that property started transferring over to the port through, we can go on for days about what that process looked like through the federal government, but we got that process started, and really 2002 was the first transfer of property. Still going through that. We're just about finished with that whole piece, but we didn't wait to get all the property to start redeveloping it. So Army had about 1,000 employees on the property when they closed it in 2000.
Wow.
And so our goal, my predecessor's goal really was to replace all those employees with private sector employees, bring in businesses and that sort of thing. So 1,000 employees lost, 1,000 jobs lost. Today, we're back to 1,000 jobs, private sector employees that are on property there through all the different companies that are located there.
It's incredible.
It is. It really is. So but we didn't do that.
Right.
It was really putting in place the opportunities, the infrastructure, and making this available for companies to come in and locate.
And that's what I wanted to talk about, because I think sometimes the public thinks that that's what you guys are doing is calling the individual up and saying, do you want to work? I mean, you have to provide the resources and provide the landscape and provide the region of opportunity to show a company, hey, move over to this area, this neck of the woods, and we'll help you grow tenfold and keep costs down and really alleviate some of the stress of your production line. And I think that's what's so important with America's Central Port that we don't talk about a lot in the public.
Absolutely. And we invest millions back into the property again. So it is the rail line we talked about, the 29 miles of rail, and it's new roads that we put in on the property and new access. So we've just finished construction of our 6th access road off of Route 3 coming into the port property to be able to get those trucks in and out as quickly as possible. So it's all about efficiency for every company that wants to locate there. The quicker you can get everything turned, moved, it just helps the whole economy and helps everything that's going on.
Well, absolutely. And really what I think's just fascinating too is, for 2 years, Dennis, we heard about, supply chain issues and things getting stuck on barges, or maybe it's stuck on a train somewhere in the Suez Canal, whatever they throw at you, on the Big Four. But to hear, you talk and hear, just anyone talk in general about the area and what that does to alleviate some of those supply chain issues. I mean, you're talking months of turnaround time that could be saved by utilizing our region and our tools.
Absolutely. So today our operators move, and people don't recognize this either, but our operators who are SCF Marine, the barge operators who are loading, unloading those barges on a daily basis, move about 3 million tons of product each year that are valued at over $1 billion. So that's product, and it's not product that we necessarily are buying every day. It's not grain.
Right.
We don't go out to the store and buy grain, but that's what they're moving. And so all those commodities, they'll move down river, they'll get processed, they'll go into some sort of food production, go into the cereal that you're eating off, every morning for breakfast, that sort of thing. So it's not necessarily those products that you're using on a daily basis, but it is those products that go into the products you're using.
Absolutely. And on your website too, Dennis, just kind of going into the manufacturers and who you currently have there working, there's 75 manufacturers that are currently operating, correct? At America?
75 manufacturers and other companies. So it's not all just manufacturers, but yes.
But in terms of that, there's 75, I guess we could say, tenants on the
Yes,
on the property.
yes.
How do they, how do they kind of arrange themselves? What's the diversity there of who you have? Because it seems like, I was looking through the list and I'm going, you have pretty much the entire kit and caboodle in terms of industry at America's Central Port.
Yeah, we have everything, CJ, from holdover tenants that were there when the Army base closed, so federal government tenants or contractors to the federal government, to distributors, to manufacturers, those who are actually building things, to office space tenants. So we do operate a small business incubator in our office building as well.
Wow.
So it's those companies that are looking to start up a company, start up a small business that need just a small office space. So we're at a maybe a 10 by 12 office space that they just need to rent to get started, to get a shingle out there and to get things going, right? So we have that component, plus we have also the residential piece. So we operate 150 apartments and residences on property as well, manage all that internally, take care of all the get-readies and
do a lot of ports have that?
No.
That's what because that doesn't seem like something you throw in, but I mean, to me, that's a huge incentive as a company knowing, hey, if you got contractors or any type of worker, there's housing available in case you're bringing somebody in. We have that opportunity.
Absolutely. And so we do have some of those tenants that live in the apartments and work there as well. A lot of them work in downtown St. Louis. So we're about 8 minutes away from downtown St. Louis, cross the McKinley Bridge, and you're right there on the highway and exiting one of those first exits.
In a safe and secure facility,
yes,
too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. And in terms of the growing needs of manufacturers and industry, what is your communication level like with those 75 tenants? I don't know if it's on a daily basis, weekly, bi-weekly, but I'm sure there's conversations had of what they'd like to see brought in or maybe some type of improvements. Do you have those?
Oh, absolutely. So a couple things from an improvement standpoint. We also just finished our draft master plan for the 2040 master plan. So a lot of the items we had done for the 2030 plan have already been accomplished. So we have come up with 53 new projects we're in the hundreds of millions of dollars if we build all this out. But it's 53 new projects for the 2040 master plan. And yes, we do get tenant input, and we are meeting with tenants on a daily basis. I was just getting texts here before I walked in. So it's the tenants, and especially those that are the startup companies that are leasing some space, that need help, that need the guidance, that need kind of answers and connections to others.
What an opportunity, though, for a startup. I mean, and I'm not saying or suggesting that you go and bother any of the 75 tenants, but to be in a system, in a port where you have the opportunity to send an email or leave a flyer or a business card to 75 major contributors to the economy, I mean, that's a huge thing.
Yes, absolutely.
And you're getting started on the right path forward over there at America's Central Port. When you meet with folks, and I'm sure you meet all across the region and talk about the port, what's the biggest surprise to them?
Wow, that we exist. It's kind of funny. I mean, it really is. Even for those in Granite City that have been there for so many years, that knew the Army base, it was closed. It was a closed facility. And when you drive by on Route 3 South, when you're headed to the McKinley Bridge, you've got these big brick warehouse buildings that sit there. It blocks everything going on behind there, which is fine. We're not there for the limelight. We're not there to really show us off.
Right.
We're there for the tenants. We're there for the companies. We're there to try to attract them to Southwestern Illinois to create those jobs. And so really it's very much that, hey, I never knew this. So they come out for a tour, and we give tours all the time. So all your listeners today, I'm certainly, if you want to call the Port District office and schedule a tour, we'd love to have you with a group or otherwise.
Have you had the CEO kids on?
Yes, we have.
Okay,
yes,
I was going to say, that would be a heck of a tour.
Absolutely.
I was a CEO child myself 7 years ago. But I mean, just that alone, that amazes me that, that's the thought process on it. And in terms of real estate available, what different types of real estate are offered? Because it's pretty much the entire gamut of sector you pretty much cover.
Absolutely. So we own 2 million plus square feet of warehouse space. All of that today is we're essentially full, about 100% occupied. We do have some of those coming up soon, so that we've got the opportunity to lease that out. So it's older warehouse space that you see when you're driving along on Route 3. It's newer warehouse space also that we've constructed, land available. So we are getting kind of tight on land, but we do still have land available for development as well. Office space, and then, as I mentioned too, the residential component.
Just incredible. I mean, I would have never thought, and just talking to you, that this is, when I was looking, I went, you've got to be kidding me. Why is this not plastered on every front page of the real growth that's really being achieved? And the other question I have, and I wanted to touch base with you on this, is I'm sure that navigating, the fun world of how the political system kind of eats into, growth and bringing jobs in, that's always a fun tightrope, I'd imagine. How are you able to kind of combat that with what your goal is at America's Central Port? Because I'm sure you get manufacturers at times that go, well, this bill just passed in here and I didn't really like what it did in terms of growth or the impact that we could have. Do you have those conversations?
Yes, we do. And we just keep chugging away every day because that's all you can do, right?
True.
And we just, sometimes it looks like a new law comes in and this one's really going to affect business badly. Yeah. And then we're so close to Missouri. Missouri's kind of like the opposite sometimes. Yep. So a lot of the things that get put in place in Illinois, Missouri doesn't have. So it is that tight balance or tightrope really that we're walking all the time. And I think sometimes too, I mean, it's just we just talk about the benefits of Illinois, yes. Talk about the things like we don't have an inventory tax. We don't have certain things on the Illinois side that Missouri people don't like that are going on in Missouri. So, and that's primarily, our main competition seems to be the Missouri side of the river.
Absolutely. Do you have a moment to stick around?
Yes,
Before
absolutely.
we take a quick pause, I did want to ask you really briefly. I mean, the news last week all over the community and really the region was Wheeling getting the $500 million expansion. Does that do anything for America's Central Port or position you in any way?
Yeah, so the retention of jobs is fantastic.
Yes.
We love that because that is a really important component of economic development is the retention piece that people haven't focused on too much. So yes, it's a very good thing for us.
Absolutely. We're talking to Dennis Wilsmeyer, and we'll be right back talking about America's Central Port on this 23rd day of January right here in the heart of the 618.
I set the thermostat so my house would be warm when I got home from work, but the kitchen is still cool.
At Barrett Heating and Cooling, we stand behind every Lennox system we sell.
My dealer said he'd take care of everything.
At Barrett Heating and Cooling, we understand everyone wants prompt, professional service.
Turns out it wasn't my furnace after all, just a little something blocking the vent.
Pretty smart dog if you ask me. For service you can count on, call Barrett Heating and Cooling.
Lennox, innovation never felt so good.
You won't find a better health club than Nautilus Fitness Center. More cardio, more free weights and equipment, more classes, a swimming pool, and more. If you're serious about your health and want to make a change, then stop thinking about it and visit Nautilus Fitness Center on Industrial Drive in Alton. Don't fall for the hype you get from the other health clubs. Nautilus is the Riverbend's premier health club. Has been for years and will be for years to come. Get to Nautilus Fitness Center and get started on a healthier new you.
Life's better when you're under our roof. That's because our expert agents will make you feel totally protected with the right auto and home coverage at the right price. Also, you can enjoy the dreams you've worked so hard to achieve. American Family Insurance.
For the biggest selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in the Riverbend, visit AltonToyota.com or stop by their location on the Homer Adams Parkway in Alton. Winner of the prestigious President's Award, Munganast Burkhardt Alton Toyota knows how to treat their customers, and they will help you find the vehicle that is perfect for you. For years, Munganast Toyota has been a fixture in the Riverbend, and now Munganast Burkhardt carries the tradition. New name, but the same great service you've come to expect.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
They'd be your partner, they'd be your partner, and you're so vain. You probably think this song is about you.
Welcome back. 10:29, that is the time on this Tuesday morning on RiverBender.com, Roku TV. Dennis Wilsmeyer, CJ Nasello, it's Our Daily Show with America's Central Port. And getting back, we were just talking about the master plan for 2040. That's got to feel good knowing that you're looking back at the former master plan and going, well, we've kind of achieved pretty much this whole thing. Does that feel pretty good for the team as a whole?
Absolutely. So when we took over this Army base starting in 2002, it was just government knew they were going to shut it down. And so for about 7 or 8 years, they didn't spend any money on it. So we inherited buildings that just had gaping holes in the roof and just a lot of deferred maintenance. And so it was it felt like it took forever just to get to a point to where we were again breaking the plane of that surface to be able to feel like we were gaining some traction.
Wow. And in terms of that, what's the master plan for 2040 look like? I don't want you to spill the entire kit and caboodle if you don't want to.
It's good. So it's everything. It's some very generic pieces in there too, but it's rail improvement. It's things that on a daily basis, road improvements, overlays, this and that sort of thing. But it's also looking at new construction as well, new warehouse development, new commercial corner. We have a spot right there at Route 3 that we believe would be great for retail at some point in the future. So it looks at all those things and just tries to put them out there, because the thing that it does, it tees it up for the potential for grants.
Yes.
So when we've got it in there, we start thinking about it. We're starting to identify now some of those funding streams that could help to support this down the road. And that's critical. And I don't think I mentioned, I'm sorry, CJ, we don't get any tax dollars. We are not on the tax rolls. So we are like a city in many respects. We're responsible for all this property, but we get no tax funds whatsoever. So we really are like a private sector company.
Well, and that's a huge thing to point out, because I'm sure the public asks you all the time, well, if they're getting this grant on top of, I'm sure, the government's tax breaks or whatever they're getting, that's a great thing to dispel right away. I mean, this is an incubator that you guys nested yourselves.
Yes, absolutely. We have to grow that, and we have grown it over the last 20 or so years on that property, and just trying to continue to grow it. And again, it's creating the atmosphere, it's creating the infrastructure to have companies come in and take advantage of it.
Another question for you, really, I guess a thought is, in terms of delivery changing, because it seems like more and more companies that are, UPS, you name it, are going more with this new drone thing, which it kind of is going to freak me out when I see a drone drop a box off in front of my house. Maybe I'll put aluminum foil on then. I don't know. But have there been any conversations within your guys' sector on looking at, different types of manufacturing in terms of technology, drones, things like that?
It's kind of funny because barge transportation is the slowest transportation form that there is out there, right? So it takes about 3 weeks to get from here to New Orleans or back again. And the funny thing was, there was an old FedEx commercial years ago about when it positively, absolutely has to be there in about 3 weeks, let's go by barge. I mean, that's how we've changed that a little bit. So it is kind of funny, but there are new transportation things that are being put in place, the new technology going in with barge transportation and rail transportation and truck. And so really, from our standpoint, we're set off a little bit from that. But it is really working this whole thing. And for the way we help is through road enhancements and improvements, dock setbacks, dock improvements at the buildings, that sort of thing, to where we know we can help turn those trucks a little bit quicker.
That's incredible. I mean, to me, I think it's one of those things where it seems like you guys are teed up to really handle any situation, in terms of what your manufacturer could potentially want, in terms of maybe some of the land that they'd like to utilize. It seems like that's what you guys really set yourself up for success with.
Yeah, we try, because it's still taking in some cases, 70-year-old buildings and converting them and trying to create that opportunity. But every new company that comes in and leases space, it's always a little bit something different, and it's always improving. That's the great thing, is that it is taking and transforming these older buildings and bringing them up to date.
Is there a sense of pride at the port too, knowing that you guys are technically you could look at it as a private sector, that you're doing this without the hand holding of maybe a government handout or a tax break? Does it make you guys feel have a little bit more pride in what you're doing?
Absolutely. I tell you, the staff we have there are just incredible.
I bet.
And what we do, we try to hire the brightest, the best, and the most creative, because that's really what it comes down to, is we need the creative people, creative thoughts and ideas in order to keep things going on kind of going forward.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about that, because I'm sure there's always opportunities, whether or not you're going to want to be a part of one of the 75 tenants that might have an opportunity waiting for you, or in terms of what America's Central Port has to offer Do you guys personally have any jobs available for the public?
So the port we seem to be hiring all the time. I'll speak today on maybe just a little bit on behalf of some of the tenants.
Oh, please do.
I tell you, probably 6 months ago or so, and we're still in a need now, but we have, with the companies that are there, the 75 different companies, at one point, CJ, we were 350 employees short. We had companies on property that are just saying, hey, I've got to stop my second shift because I don't have enough workers. Or I could put on a second shift if I just had 50 more workers. And things were so busy there for a while that's the case. Now, that's easing a little bit, but I will tell you, if anybody's in need of a job, we still have plenty of jobs open at different companies there on the port.
What's the best way to find out all that information?
Probably a couple of different places. Madison County Employment and Training.
Okay.
They're a good resource for getting that word out there and working with the companies, because a lot of those companies use Madison County Employment and Training to try to work with those companies. The other is just give a call to the port, and we'll see if we can't get you in contact directly with some of those companies.
I just think this is great, Dennis. And anytime I can talk to you, we were talking, and I thought, well, maybe I'll come up with these elaborate questions. But more I looked into it, let's just talk about the port.
Yes.
Because the first step, like you said, is just to talk about it and make sure people are aware of it, and then we'll see what other trouble we can cause down the pipeline. What's the one thing that, and this is a softball question, but I think it's really important. Whenever you're talking to a tenant, whenever you're meeting with a representative of a company, what's that conversation look like on your end, and what's your job in that conversation? Is it letting them know that you're their liaison, that they're going to spearhead it, or that you're a partner? What are you looking for whenever you're talking with them?
Job growth
I love
is
it.
the primary one. So we do have a lot of companies that come in, or one person that comes in and just says, hey, I just need an office and all I'm going to be doing is sitting here. That's fine. We've got that available, but we're really looking for that opportunity for that company to grow. And so we're trying to put things in place, the facilities, lease of the space, whatever it is, and maybe making some improvements for that individual at that location in order to help them grow. Because when they grow, they're hiring more employees. When they're hiring more employees, that's a bigger impact, and it just helps the company grow over time when you have more employees there.
Without a doubt. And Dennis, what's coming down the pipeline in the next couple of, I will say next year? Is there anything developing, any ground moving over at America's Central Port we need to keep our eyes out for?
Yeah, so we'll be finishing First Street, which I will tell you is the worst street right now in the area, just the potholes and everything else. But that's the main street that parallels Route 3 as you're coming by the warehouses. That was 1940s vintage. Potholes like crazy. We have been spending, it's about a $3 million project. So that's the new entrance coming in off Route 3. It will turn in. It will be a one-way street then, and it will be concrete road that's being put in there to help service all those warehouses there along Route 3. So we're really looking forward to spring finishing that project. Winter just came a little bit early for us to get it done, so we're really looking forward to that one as well.
Really cool. Well, Dennis, anytime you want to come on and fill us in on what you're working on, the platform is open for you, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, CJ.
We'll take a quick pause here at 10:37 on this 23rd day of January. Kathy Lewis, legendary Mustang Sanctuary, they join us next to fill us in on ways we can support them and their goal to save American history.